Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're uncorking something, well, maybe a bit unexpected. Picture a country known for its elegant design, great food, that whole Hayek thing. Now imagine that same country making some serious waves in the global whiskey scene. That's right, Denmark. And that's what we're diving into today, our mission. Explore this exciting world of Danish whiskey. We're focusing on insights from a top retailer, Whisky.dk, and this really interesting award-winning distillery, Nyborg Destilleri. We pulled some great stuff from their blogs and product descriptions to kind of chart this surprising journey.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here as we start is seeing how a region, one outside the usual whiskey spots, can actually emerge and innovate like this. For you, our listener, this deep dive offers a fantastic kind of aha moment. You get to see the key ingredients could be smart retailing, great storytelling, maybe bold experiments that build up a new center of excellence. Anywhere, really. It's about getting that quick, solid understanding of what makes these things tick.
Absolutely. So let's start with the cornerstone of this whole scene, Whisky.dk. This isn't just like a shop. It's described as Denmark's largest whiskey hub, both online and physical. Founded by Ulrik Bertelsen and Henrik Olsen way back in 2012. Started small, just an online thing, but clearly they hit on something because it's grown massively. They've even won multiple Danish Gazelle Awards for growth. That's a serious sign they've made an impact. And their physical store, wow, it sounds like a real destination. Imagine this. 500 square meters for a showroom near Kolding. Thousands of bottles just there to explore. Sounds pretty immersive for anyone interested in spirits, and the selection is huge. Not just Danish whiskey, but Scottish, Japanese, Irish, American, plus all sorts of other spirits, rum, gin, cognac, tequila. They seem really focused on the customer experience too, known for being knowledgeable, passionate. And they do tastings, master classes, all in a cozy setting. So great for beginners and the real enthusiast.
Right. And a key insight from Whisky.dk's model, I think, is how a dedicated retailer can do way more than just sell stuff. They're actively building a culture, appreciation, discovery. By offering this huge global range next to the local Danish whiskeys and doing those classes, they're educating people, building a community, that kind of platform. It's absolutely crucial for new producers trying to get noticed and for us consumers to try new things. It really shows a market doesn't just pop up overnight, it needs nurturing.
Yeah, that idea of nurturing, building something. It really comes alive when we look at Nyborg Destilleri. And here's where it gets really interesting. They just got this huge award, Distillery of the Year 2025. Nikolai and Niels Rummer, the guys behind it, were clearly thrilled. Said it's a great honor, proof they must be doing something right. You bet they are. And what makes their story even cooler is the setting. It's unique. Nyborg Distillery is in the old Danish State Railways DSB freight train workshop. These buildings were busy for over 125 years, but then just sat empty for like 13 years after the Great Belt Bridge opened. Sort of a sad industrial story. But then Niels and Nikolai Rummer took over in 2011. By 2017, they'd completely transformed it. Distillery, restaurant, shop, cafe, the works. And get this, a huge black locomotive still stands right there in the warehouse, like an actual train engine. It's pretty iconic.
Oh, absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just a distillery, it's a powerful statement, isn't it? Preserving history, breathing new life into old industrial spaces. That locomotive, it's not just decoration, it weaves this rich, built-in story for their products, talks about Danish heritage, resilience, transformation, that gives every bottle so much depth. It's a tangible link to their roots. Few brands have that.
That sense of place, yeah, rooted in history, it definitely adds something special. And their product philosophy, just as compelling. Nyborg actually started experimenting with spirits back in 2009 over at Orbeck Brewery. And right from the get-go, the focus was on organic whiskey, rum, gin. Now, they're one of Denmark's biggest distilleries, over 25 organic spirit types. That includes their single malt whiskey, made of local malt from Funen, but also gin, rum, vodka, aquavit, liqueurs, even private labels and ready-mix cocktails. And that connection to the brewery, Orbeck Brewery, it's not just history. It gives them stability financially, which lets them experiment more, commit to longer aging, try out really creative casks. That freedom is key. And it seems that they really want to share all this. They set up a whole visitor experience. There's the restaurant Remisen, a cafe, a shop, plus guided tours with tastings. You can actually follow the whole production process, smell the whiskey coming off the copper stills, see the casks. Tours usually run Fridays and Saturdays, and yeah, they include tastings, which is obviously important. It just makes you realize how this mixed deep history, this organic vision, sustainability, it all comes together to create a really unique brand. It connects on lots of levels. Okay, so we have this foundation of history, organic principles, innovation. How does that actually translate into the whiskey? What does it taste like? How do these ideas shape the character in the bottle?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What makes Danish whiskey, especially Nyborg's, stand out in such a crowded market? Well, based on what we've seen, it seems to boil down to their adventurous spirit, that deep commitment to organic, and just being willing to push boundaries while still respecting the craft. They don't just copy, they innovate, and you can kind of taste the story in the liquid, if that makes sense.
It does. And their range really shows that adventurous side. Let's dive into some specific examples because they're quite diverse. Nyborg definitely seems to embrace complexity, often leaning into some pretty serious wood influence, like their sherry character and depth stuff.
Yeah.
Really notable. Take the Skumring Vintage 2017 Organic Single Malt. Distilled 2017, bottled 2025, so that's 8 years in a first fill Oloroso sherry butt. And a butt is a big cask, right? First fill means maximum sherry impact.
Exactly. Loads of flavor transfer.
Yeah, the description promises dried fruit, vanilla, caramel, that dry Oloroso sherry note, intense spice like cloves, tobacco, and a long, leathery finish. Sounds complex. Or how about the Stilhed Stormen 10-Or Organic Single Malt? Distilled 2014, bottled 2025, almost 10 years old. This one spent its time in a single PX sherry butt. PX is Pedro Ximénez, a really sweet sherry.
Right, known for those rich dessert-like notes.
Exactly. So they're talking deep, velvety character, intense raisins, vanilla, plums, licorice, dried oranges, Christmas cake, cocoa. Sounds incredibly rich.
And what you see with these sherry bombs isn't just, oh, let's use a sherry cask. It's patience. Letting whiskey mature for almost a decade, especially in active first-fill casks, that allows those complex fruit and spice notes to really meld together and develop.
Yeah.
It's a serious commitment to flavor.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But they don't just stick to sherry. Their Adventurous Spirit series is where they really seem to cut loose, pushing boundaries with casks and maturation. Check out the Isle of Funen Nordic Highlander. It tries to mix Scottish tradition with a Nordic vibe. It's got delicate smoke, vanilla, caramel, spices from American oak and local Funen oak. But here's the twist. It's finished in a small 45-liter Pedro Ximénez cask that used to hold Cale Isle whiskey.
Oh, now that's clever. Cale Isle, the peated Scotch.
Yep.
So finishing in an ex-Cale Isle PX cask that's going to layer in the subtle peatiness, a nod to Isle, but softened by the PX. It shows a really sophisticated touch, bridging Danish whiskey with established Scotch styles. Very smart.
Totally. And then there's the Isle of Fionia Skipper's Glow.
Yeah.
This one, it's wild. Aged for 6 months at sea, on a ship.
Seriously, at sea.
Yeah. Can you imagine? The salt air, the movement, what does that even do? They combine first fill bourbon and virgin oak, then marry it with some of their own peated whiskeys. The goal is intense maritime notes, gentle peat, vanilla, dried fruits. I mean, talk about thinking outside the barrel, literally. And beyond these wild experiments, Nyborg also digs into local wood and peated expressions. Their Ardor Isle of Fionia Danish Oak 2022 uses casks made from actual Danish oak, Quercus robur, from Funen.
Oh, interesting. Exploring local terroir through the wood itself.
Exactly. It apparently brings out fruity notes like pears, nuts, and these pleasant oak tannins specific to Danish oak. Love seeing that local connection. And for peat fans, they have the Isle of Fionia Peated Black and Peated. These are young, organic, medium peated single malts. They use ex-Jack Daniels casks first, then finish them in STR wine casks.
STR shaved, toasted, recharred. That process really activates the wood.
Right, and it shows how even younger peated whiskey can deliver clear, powerful smoke when you manage the casks well. Demonstrates real skill. And finally, just to kind of see the whole journey, you can look at their from spirit to signature range. They actually bottle their Isle of Fionia new, make the raw spirit, straight off the still, unaged.
Ah, the pure distillate gives you a baseline.
Yeah, described as rich, fruity, malty. You could use it in cocktails, apparently, or just appreciate the base spirit before the wood does its thing.
Yeah.
And remembering their very first release, the Isle of Fionia Cask No. 1 from 2012, distilled back in 2009. It just shows they've been committed to this for a while now. So wrapping up the Nyborg story, their dedication to organic, using local stuff, and just being incredibly adventurous with casks, it really puts them on the map, doesn't it? They're not just making whiskey. They're helping define what Danish whiskey can be.
It absolutely does. I mean, what we've talked about today, from that solid retail foundation with Whisky.dk nurturing the market, to the sheer innovation and quality coming out of Nyborg Destilleri, it really cements the idea that Danish whiskey is vibrant, it's evolving. And this Danish example, it suggests that for a new center of excellence to really take off, you often need, well, maybe 3 things working together. A strong retail partner educating consumers, a compelling brand story rooted in heritage and maybe sustainability, and crucially, really, that fearless experimental production approach. It's not just about making a good product, it's about crafting that whole narrative, building a community. They're really earning their spot among the big whiskey nations.
And as Danish whiskey does carve out its own identity through this innovation and that strong sense of place, it does make you wonder, right? What other regions out there, maybe with their own untapped resources or old industrial bones like Nyborg's workshop? What regions are poised to surprise us next with their own unique spirits? The world of interesting drinks just keeps getting bigger. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Danish whiskey excellence. We hope you found this journey as fascinating as we did.